I think I have to start giving wins for quotes at the beginning of music videos. I don't know why, but they tend to lend the song a certain level of gravitas. Also, Kendrick Lamar is always a win.
As I get a little older, I realize life is perspective. And my perspective may differ from yours.
This is all just true stuff. Life is all about perspective. The truth is essentially subjective in most situations because the court of public opinion is where your fate will come from.
I want to say thank you to everyone that's been down with me. All my fans, all my beautiful fans.
This is a really cool shout out where he basically gives his fans his gratitude for making him the famous artist he is today, cause without his fans, he wouldn't be anything.
I come from a generation of pain where murder is minor, rebellious and more jealous, a chip you for designer.
He said that he comes from a generation of pain where murder is minor, meaning that the people he grew up with are used to death and are therefore numb to its emotional components. Also, he mentioned Rebellious and Margiela, which are two different designer brands, and said they'll chip you for designer, or in other words, they'll chip away at your money for some unnecessarily expensive designer clothes.
Make the wrong turn, be your will or the will alignment.
He mentioned making a wrong turn and how it could have been your will or your wheel alignment, which is a reference to your mental will and a steering wheel, both of which can drive you in a certain direction. Also, this beat is pretty awesome. I know it might seem a little random that I'm talking about it now instead of earlier, but whatever.
Residue burn, mist at the inner city.
The mist of the city refers to pollution that is basically omnipresent in any city in the world because pollution can basically look like fog or mist.
Desensitized, I vandalize pain.
Desensitization to pain is when you no longer feel emotions the same way you would before, and he not only said that he has that, but he also said that he vandalized that pain, or in other words, he used it for different purposes, sometimes in his music.
23-hour lockdown, that somebody called, said your little nephew was shot down, the coach is involved.
This is a reference to the negativity of mainstream culture, in which death amongst the younger generations is very common, especially in the hip-hop scene.
Hit the halfway house, get out and get his brains blown out. Looking to buy some weed, car washes played out. New GoFundMe accounts to proceed.
He started by talking about a guy getting shot while buying weed, and then he mentioned GoFundMe accounts taking over in place of car washes. What I think this refers to is getting killed during a drug deal, and your family making a GoFundMe account to gain money from people who are sympathetic to your pain, as opposed to actually getting a real job.
I said I do this for my culture, to let y'all know what a nigga look like in a bulletproof Rover.
A bulletproof Rover is just a type of car with bulletproof windows and possibly bulletproof tires as well, and he's saying he needs it because of the culture. Also, the face changes are kind of a cool little visual detail for the video itself.
Working late praying for work, but he on paperwork.
In context, working late just means working hard. Praying for work means praying that you get a job, and being on paperwork refers to being on welfare or unemployment.
Remote location, witness protection, they go hold you.
When you're placed in witness protection, you'll be placed in a remote location to keep you safe, and this again ties into the theme of the culture being violent and crime heavy.
I'm in Argentina, wiping my tears, full of confusion. Water in between us, another peer's been executed. History repeats again.
This line is a reference to the show Kendrick performed at in Argentina, in which he took a moment of silence for Nipsey Hussle, a revered rapper who had recently passed away.
Crack a bottle, hard to deal with the pain when you're sober. By tomorrow, we forget the remains, we start over, that's the problem.
Alcohol is often used as a coping mechanism for emotional issues because intoxication helps people to forget their problems, although it's extremely unhealthy to use it for that purpose. And then he mentioned forgetting the remains, in context meaning that we forget the tragedies of our past and enable the culture to repeat itself. But that line also continues the alcohol scheme because drinking enough can lead to blacking out, which involves memory loss.
Our foundation was trained to accept whatever follows.
This is a reference to people who refuse to stand up for what they might believe in because of fear, and that fear is what holds back progress.
Sacrifice personal gain over everything, just to see the next generation better than ours.
Parents oftentimes sacrifice things that might have been selfish for them to have when they have kids, because they want their children to be better than themselves.
I wasn't perfect, the skin I was in I truly suffered. Temptation and patience, everything that the body nurtures.
I believe this line about his skin having suffered is a reference to historical racism in the United States because he has faced prejudice as a result of his skin color. Also, he mentioned temptation and impatience, which are two completely natural feelings that everyone gets, and he's saying that he lives with those struggles like everyone else.
Face your fears, always knew that I will make it here, where the energy is magnified and persevered.
Here, he's basically just saying that he made his career because of his perseverance and energy, which is true and also just really cool.
Them same views made schools change curriculums, but didn't change me staring down the barrel of that gun.
Parents have historically been able to pressure schools into changing their curriculums based on their own personal views, which is what I think he's referring to here, but he also mentioned that it didn't change anything about him staring into a gun because school could never save him from the culture.
I woke up that morning with more heart to give you as I bleed through the speakers, feel my presence.
This line is essentially just saying that he's putting his blood itself into his music, referring to the effort, energy, and emotion that he draws on.
Until the killer despaired at my demise, I forgive you, just know your soul's in question.
He's basically predicting his own death here, which obviously fits in with the theme of the song being about how the culture corrupts and kills people.
I seen the pain in your pupil when that trigger had squeezed, and though you did me gruesome, I was surely relieved. I completed my mission, wasn't ready to leave, but fulfilled my days, my creator was pleased.
First, he mentioned the pain in the eyes of his killer, referring to the emotional struggles that most murderers do actually feel when they commit murder. And second, he said that he was relieved when he died because he had fulfilled his purpose and made something of himself, which is a really good attitude to have about your career.
Cause you can't help the world until you help yourself.
I'm giving that line a win just because it's very true and I love it.
And though my physical won't reap the benefits, the energy they carry on emit still.
This line refers to how his physical body won't reap any benefits from his work once he's dead, but his spirit will because he'll be rewarded in the next life for doing so much amazing work.